Hi, everybody. My name is Peter, and welcome to CONSERVATISH episode 214. Wherever you are listening, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share, make sure you rate, make sure you review. We are going to be taking, the royal we, are going to be taking CONSERVATISH off of YouTube very soon because even though my subscriber count has gone up, my viewers have gone down. And I've had I had one episode with Do Not Comply NYC on that got removed from YouTube because we were saying this in December. It was removed from YouTube because we were saying the same things that the CDC now says. So we're going to go somewhere else. It'll still be on YouTube or Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever, but I'm almost 100% sure Rockfin is going to be the exclusive video source of CONSERVATISH. I'll still put up clips. I'll still put up my music on my YouTube, but I'm not going to be investing any more time putting up episodes very soon. So that's as far as house cleaning news. That's what's going on there. You can find me on Instagram at Peter_Feliciano. You can find me on TikTok at Peter_Feliciano. You can find me on Twitter at Rule62Peter. Ladies and gentlemen, Jamie Arrigo is back. Yeah.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right. So first things first, where can people find you?
We did this last time and I fumbled too. Instagram, Jamie_Arrigo. Do not do Jamie Arrigo solid because that's actually a troll. Someone that started an account when they were trying to cancel me. So, or maybe do follow and let me know what they're posting about me. That might be, yeah. And then on Twitter, I think it's the same at Jamie Arrigo. I don't know. I'm not super active. I have a website, jamiearrigo.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of love from the last one, so I'm glad to have you back. And I saw recently, and obviously, just as a brush up for everybody who didn't see the first one, you are a Floridian who moved recently from, not super recently, but now left California, left the hellhole of Los Angeles, and are investing actively in getting California better, and we'll get into how you're doing that soon. But just give people a quick rundown of who you are and what you do.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm a photographer and I have a creative agency, so I help brands with strategy and social media. I moved to Florida last April because Los Angeles was not a place I wanted to raise my kids. Everybody was wearing masks and I knew the jab mandates were coming down the pipeline, and that's just something that we're never going to do. So we bought ourselves a little bit of time, I think, moving to Florida, and it's been really awesome. But yeah, we're having a good time. The winter's really nice. We can grow a garden year round. My kids go to school and it's very normal. And yeah. It's been a really nice transition. It's hard to leave California, but hopefully we're able to restore it and bring it back to its golden era.
Right. Do you have a lot of hope for it?
Yeah, I do. I think there's a lot of momentum right now, especially, it's really hard. I don't really have a lot of sort of liberal people in my circle anymore, and I don't communicate with a lot because it seems like what's going on in the Democratic Party is so in opposition to how I want to live my life. And so the people I talk to are all very awake and all want the same things. They want a smaller government. They want the government to stay out of their business. They don't want any sort of mandates. They don't want to wear masks. So I feel like all the people I talk to are very awake. But I do have hope. I think I think the governor race for California that's going to be happening this year is probably the most important race in the country, because what happens in California will happen in the rest of the country. And if we are able to change the trajectory of California and actually step outside of the two-party system, or at least get Gavin Newsom out, I think it would do a lot for the country and the world. I don't want to say that we're saving the world, but maybe we're saving.
Maybe. Right.
Yeah.
I'm concerned because when I look at what the white guilt should have done to white liberals, because really the only people who are killing, I always say this about New York too, like the people who killed New York are white yuppies, like white yuppie liberals with good intentions. And I believe that same type of thing. And, I was going to say for a second, I'm sorry for making it racial right away, but you're on CONSERVATISH, everybody. You know what you're getting. But you do have to kind of know your enemy, kids. You do have to kind of know your enemy, and I say that with love because I actually do have a lot of white liberals in my life. So love with a grain of salt, but the people who should have kicked into, like, the white guilt that should have made those white liberals go, oh, a black guy, Larry Elder lost not long ago. If heavy on the if, because we did see some weird videos of people, hoarding mail-in ballots. But if it was legit, they called him the blackface of white supremacy, and and I kind of feel like it doesn't matter how bad the consequences that get. Like when I look at Reinette as an example, I do feel hopeful, but I also feel like white liberals are so locked into identity. There's no way for them to get out. There's no way for them to get out.
I think you said a lot, and I want to touch on a few things that you said. Specifically, you said people with good intentions. And I think that when I go to sleep at night, that's really what I hold on to, is that I think that most 99% of the people that we're dealing with are good people they're good people with good intentions, but bad information. And I think it's only a matter of time before people really wake up and go, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. Especially, like, the best example I can give right now is like at Cedars-Sinai Hospital. A friend of a friend is a nurse there. They've fired a ton of nurses that did not want to take the jab, or I don't know a ton. I don't know the specific numbers, but they fired nurses that did not want to take the jab. And now nurses who test positive have to go to work. So, and it makes no sense. If you're a person going to Cedars-Sinai, you could be treated by a nurse who is COVID positive, whatever. And so I think the more that these stories come out, the more people go, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. The Larry Elder thing, I think more than that, I don't know how to feel about those statements that he's the blackface of white supremacy. I think a lot of what we read is to rile us up and get us divided. I think the thing with Larry Elder, and this is something that I always try and tell people, is that California is super, super pro-choice. And the thing that freaked people out and got people out in droves was the fact that California was worried about losing a woman's right to choose. And I understand that. I am not a fan of the government restricting or mandating any sort of medical procedure ever. I don't think that the government should ever be able to do that. Does that reflect my views? Does that reflect what I would do with my body? No. Like, I have not ever been in a situation to where I've, wanted to get rid of a pregnancy or, but however, those are my views. I don't want to push that on anybody else. And I think that's the thing to hold on to with California, is that I don't know that they're ever going to, at least not right now, not why that's such a hot topic button. And I will say, right before the recall election, Texas announced, the abortion ban. So there are all of these little things playing in. And like, I'm kind of the thought now that everything we see from the media is a distraction or has some sort of plan, right? And so people saw that and they started freaking out. We're going to get Larry Elder. He's going to remove abortion. I mean, that's not going to happen. Like, California is like, they're never going to get rid of abortions in California.
Right.
And that's something that I think is so special about Reinette. And it's really a woman's right issue, whether we're dealing with what to do with a pregnancy, how to raise a child, the healthcare we want for our children. It's like, this is an issue that all women should be unifying around. And it is the biggest scam. The powers that be have gotten women to hate each other and be divided on this issue, even though I understand it. I understand people saying you are killing a life. I get that. However, after going through 2 pregnancies and watching my body morph and all of the other stuff that comes with pregnancy, I don't believe that anybody should be able to force you to go through that. That's just right where I'm at.
So, but ultimately what you're saying is the reason why Larry Elder possibly would have gotten less, or let's just say the reason why people would have continued to go, screw it, let's keep the same guy in, is because of the abortion idea.
I think women's right to choose was a huge part of it. I also do think the COVID cult is so thick. And I can speak to the level of hypnosis that occurs being in that news cycle. So when Donald Trump was president, I was very much on the left. I would get my daily download from CNN. I think we talked about this a little last time. I would get my daily download from CNN. And it's like, you get programmed 5 things every single day. This is what you're worried about. This is what you're concerned about. And I think a lot of people that are on that side are getting that daily download. So they, in their minds, even though it's the craziest, it's the most fascinating thing, because even though as an Angelino, I could look around and I could see the city crumbling around me, there would be so many people going, Gavin Newsom's doing a great job. He's keeping us so safe. Right? Safe from this thing that you cannot see, safe from COVID or whatever, but unsafe from crime and from poverty and from unemployment and from business closures and from every other thing that exists. And so I think that women's right to choose was a really big part of it, but I do think there's a level of it's mass formation hypnosis.
Right. Right.
Where, I think that the people that are super dedicated to left and super dedicated to right are the minority, actually, at this point. I think most people are somewhere in the middle, because I think, the more extreme you get on either side, the more you alienate people. I think most people are like, want the same things. Like at the end of the day, they want the government to leave them alone. They want an opportunity to earn money and provide for their family, and they want a safe environment.
I'd like to hear a little bit more about your ideas regarding, because when I look at my experience, you said something about that the minority, and I believe you're right. There is the people who are 100% dedicated to one side or another are the minority.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I agree with you. At the same time, the majority, or that small minority who are married to the left, have the throat of universities, have the throat of Hollywood, have the throat of a lot of banking financial institutions, have the throat of social media companies. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
every single thing that might influence. So that's number one. I see would be the main problem, like as far as stopping the bleeding. I agree with you 100%. Most people, even in California, most people, right? But when you're around San Francisco, and I can't speak to Los Angeles as much, but I lived in San Francisco for a long time, and that knee jerk, no matter what, I'm down for this side, is so bred into them that it doesn't matter when Larry Elder got eggs thrown at him from a white girl who had a monkey mask on.
Oh, it was so good. I mean, it was horrible. It was horrible.
And yet not a word. And yet not a word. Now, I know it's difficult. Listen, if someone comes out, it's difficult because we all are susceptible to tribalism, right? And when somebody on my side does something dumb, or you know what, I'll sacrifice one of my things right now. Right? Ready, everybody? I don't think Whoopi should be fired for the dumb, horrible crap she just said. Sorry. If I'm going to be free speechist, I'm not saying that she should. I'm not saying that she's good at her job or that she's correct. But again, when I'm going free speech, when I didn't like, if I didn't like it that Roseanne got fired because of a tweet and a joke tweet, you know what I mean? I'm gonna need to pump the brakes on my desire to see Whoopi burn, right?
Yeah, I don't support. I mean, who's going to The View for any sort of real information anyway? Like, let's be very honest about the sort of bullshit lies that The View says on the regular. So to me, she says that it was like, people are like, oh my God. I'm like, do you hear anything The View says? Like literally every single day, they're just lying. So yeah, I'm not a fan of cancel culture. I don't think people should be silenced. I think it's called The View. That's her view. Okay. So everybody might not agree with your view, but you still have a right to say it. And yeah, I don't,
and I support people online making videos and people on TV going, hey, I survived the Holocaust, you motherfucker. Like, I support people coming out against her, whether, because again, we're not talking about taking away someone's voice. I was talking about this last week or this week, really, when Neil Young is like, if you don't if you don't get rid of Joe Rogan, I'm gonna blah 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 because I believe in right.
So
So we all know
Spotify
right,
was like, boop, delete.
right, right. Uh,
Jody
but
Mitchell,
like,
they were like, wait, who?
right.
Okay.
And let's not, by the way, just as a quick side note, let's not make believe Spotify has scruples either. They got cash, they got investment. That's what they're.
Well,
So I'm
yeah.
happy. I'm happy though. I'm happy with the outcome. But
Yeah. Right.
at the bottom line is what Joni and Neil should have done is go, this is bullshit. I'm going to make an album about how Joe Rogan's the devil. I'm going to make a post. I'm going to make a long thing about how Joe Rogan is continuing misinformation. Or you know what? Just go ahead and pull your stuff. But what they did was, I'm going to give Spotify an ultimatum. What they did was, not in protest, but their ultimate. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a difference between I'm disagreeing and I'm gonna, like, if everyone was like fuck Whoopi, fine, but taking that a step further and saying fire this bitch sets it up later on for us to be in the same predicament when someone says something sloppy, out of line, joke, whatever, because we see it all the time. You can't, if we're going to have principles, everybody, we have to put principles above personalities,
Yeah, I agree. I don't think anybody should be censored. I think everybody, I fully support everybody's right to say, what they feel like they need to say. I may not agree with it. I may not like it, but I will still march in the streets for you to be able to say it, because it's just gotten too easy for these companies to censor people and remove unpopular opinions, and all the, like, just over the last 2 years, all of those unpopular opinions related to COVID have now come true. And now they're like mainstream on Joe Rogan, like the stuff I was posting and getting like hate text, the reason I got ousted.
Right.
Because I posted all the stuff that's now totally normalized and it's like mainstream. It's just ridiculous. So
yeah, I mean, like, one of the things we talked about on that episode that got removed, because if you really want to talk about like disagreeing with me, if you're listening to me right now, I'm actually somebody who has suffered a lot of shadow banning. Okay, a lot. My subscriber count on YouTube, on Instagram, wherever has gone up, and I've had time. My Instagram is actually doing pretty well right now, but it's gone up, and my views have gone down. Okay, it's not just I've had shit taken off. So they've literally silenced a person of color. They've literally silenced me, and yet I still don't want Whoopi to be fired over a sloppy, dumb idea. Okay, I go to the letter of the law. I think the law, that's a law they got right. Freedom of speech, unless you're calling for violence. If Whoopi took it a step further and said, and Jews should be put into what, I'd be like, yeah, get the fucking bitch off the View. Yeah, the law is right? If someone made a joke about Asians, free speech. If someone said kill all Asians, yeah, okay, fine. That's fine. Let's take that down. But again, I'm an absolutist when it comes to that, and I didn't see anyone when someone threw eggs in a monkey mask at Larry Elder. Everybody was fucking silent. All you white liberals were fucking silent. I mean, he literally, not just someone made a racist joke, okay, about Larry Elder. Of course, you'd be silent on that. But if anybody did that to to a half
Kamala Harris,
to a quarter. Kamala Harris. If someone did that to Kamala Harris, we wouldn't be able to move. There would be restrictions on everything. It would be government
state
it is.
Eggs would be banned.
Eggs would be
banned.
No
one can own chickens.
Right. I can't wait, by the way, for the hashtag. I can't wait for the hashtag hunk to be shadow banned too. You know what I mean? Like, how they shadow ban hashtag COVID vaccine or hashtag this or whatever, when hunk becomes problematic because of all the Trudeau trucker convoy stuff. That's going to be fun.
I haven't heard. Is hunk trending?
Yeah, honk and honk. It's their way of going, fuck you.
Yeah, it's the whole censorship thing is really weird. I mean, Reinette. So if I don't know, I should probably do like.
You know what? Yeah, let's because we talked a tiny bit about her, but please explain.
Yeah, Reinette Senum is running for governor of the state of California. No,
I talked over her name. I think. Go ahead and say one more time.
Reinette Senum. Reinette Senum. ReinetteSenum. She's running for governor in the state of California, no party affiliation. She's amazing. She has like a 20-year track record. Her campaign is based on the 7th generation principle. So it speaks to our children and the elders. It's like just a really beautiful campaign. But she was removed from Instagram, no warning, just taken down. Like we were like gaining some traction and like connecting with some good people, and it was like just shut down. That's okay, because I think we have to sort of get analog anyway, especially if you're somebody who's speaking truth right now. We have to get analog. We have to like get old school. And we can't rely on social media anymore. And it's a really hard thing to say, but I think we just have to get more creative with her campaign and with communication in general. And, I think that kind of speaks to what you were saying about where you're going to start putting your content. It's like, there are going to be platforms, and I think there are platforms that have come out that don't censor. And that's, ultimately, I don't think that censorship is going to win. And I think that's pretty insulting. And that these companies think they need to protect us from information, that we're so dumb, we're unable to discern misinformation from real information. We're so dumb that we cannot have all the information in order to make an educated analysis and come to our own conclusions.
Only white liberals know what's best for us. Once white liberals have money gives you access to knowledge about what's best for everybody. Money gives you authority about what some truckers or some nurses or even what some doctors should be allowed to say and think when it comes to other people. Like, that's amazing stuff.
Like white liberals, I feel like we need to pull that out. Like, to me, when I hear that, like, I think we need to pull that.
I think we do not.
Even though I know what you're saying, I was totally targeted by some of those. However, I do think that we're in a really important moment where we have an opportunity to actually unify, because even though there are so many people that are so dedicated to what's going on, and they have literally they're giving their kids over to science, and they are so into it, and they are quite literally donating their bodies to science, and they aren't getting paid. It's fascinating. But on the other side of that, you have most people that do want to get past this in a loving way. And I do think most of us want to unify and come together, regardless of if we're white liberal, purple.
Absolutely. But remember, I'm speaking to the thing I said earlier when it comes to knowing your enemy. When it comes to, here's what I mean.
I don't know that they are enemies, is what I'm saying.
Not most of them, yeah. But I'm saying, okay, so when I speak in hyperbole, I'm also,
hyperbole.
Yes, I'm hyperbole. But not just because my head looks like a bubble. The thing is that I speak in hyperbole mostly for humor, but also because when I look at the landscape of what's keeping me from talking, when I look at the landscape of what's keeping me from eating at a restaurant, when I look at the landscape of what's firing people, the gas in the tank is never. It's not right now anyway. It's not. I'm not saying I have no problem with rhinos. I am not saying I have no problem with black liberals, but I'm saying if you're 90, okay. Here's another way to put it. White people are 60% of the population in America.
I'm going to stop you right here, though, Peter, because if you think this is a United States issue, if you think what's happening right now is fueled by white liberals in the United States, you are missing the assignment, my friend. This is a global issue orchestrated by all colors, the absolute elite on the planet. It make white liberal, like those labels outside the United States are so insignificant, especially when you consider who we're actually dealing with. And I think, I guess my point is, in saying that, it's really creating more opportunities for division. And while I hear you and I agree with you and I understand your sentiment, I think that it's so much bigger than a white liberal United States problem. Like, what is happening to us is far beyond that cult.
I agree.
Yeah.
Couple of things though. It's not as global when Boris Johnson, when okay, when Sweden, England, all these different countries have now taken down, I'm saying the largest portion of what is of who is choking us right now, suffocating us, okay, are, if they're 60% of the population, why are they 99% of our problem? And I'll add this. Part of the reason why I think this works as far as using identity politics is to kill identity politics. It gets through. The reason why I get away with a lot of stuff is because white liberal, if I was full white, oh man, I would be way shut down way faster. I would have people in my DMs and all the time. But because I'm a halvesy, that white guilt helps keep my foot in the door of conversation and allows an easier, you know what I'm saying? So I'm using identity politics in a hyperbolic way to know our enemy and to realize, okay, who's the real problem here, where we can have control over. I have no control over Canada Convoy. I have no way to add to Boris or wherever. I'm saying, do you understand what I'm trying to
I
get at?
understand what you're saying, but I still disagree because I don't think the people, I think the front men of the band have no power. Like Newsom, do you think, I mean, Newsom is not in control. Newsom sold his soul a long time. He's owned by China. Like,
Absolutely.
if you want to be mad at anyone, be mad at our owners.
I make fun of them all the time. Lord knows.
But
Yeah.
I hear
Lord knows. Right. And it's not just, you're right. I'm not even saying the people at the top. I'm saying the 90%. I'm talking San Francisco.
Yeah.
I'm talking, let's just say from New York.
Yeah.
Like I see Black people on the streets with masks outside. Sure. But I have not met one Black person, Latin person, Asian person who is for mandates. Not one. I haven't seen them online. Maybe the famous ones, a couple famous ones, but every single other motherfucker. I'm saying the way to wake the vast majority who do vote for these white people at the top is these Democrats at the top, is to help these white people see, hey, let me use your white guilt and realize, like, remember how last year you were posting a black square? You're now segregating 61% because only 39% of Black Americans are vaccinated, fully vaccinated. I'm trying to help us along towards that.
They literally don't hear it though. So that's why I think that like those name calling, it doesn't matter. They don't hear it. You know how many people I've told, they're like, you're a racist. I'm like, you understand you're supporting segregation. And I'll give them all the breakdown of the statistics. And they're like, whatever, racist. Like they just don't hear it.
They hear it from me.
Well, yeah, I'm not a woman of color. I'm just, just your average white
evil colonizer.
Yeah. And so maybe that's why, is that I just don't have that power. And I mean, have tried to explain this to so many people, and I'm just to the point where I'm like, okay, you're gonna, like, you want to put a mask on your kid for 8 hours a day, you want to give your kid the jab, like that feels safe to you, then I've just really, I have compassion for that. But I've just let it go. It's not a choice I will be making, but it's literally nothing I can do to help other parents make those personal decisions. So
right. And Reinette, you're saying ultimately Reinette would be why do you believe that she would be a good fit for California?
Well, she's a native Californian, so she's got some skin in the game. And she has a 30-page blueprint for California that breaks down several issues that the state is facing. And she's just the real deal. She's been standing up against corruption for over 20 years. She's like testified against 5G. She's like one of the only people right now going to the Capitol, standing up, like that bill that just didn't pass. I think it was SB 1400, which was the single payer healthcare bill, which was going to like be the nail in the coffin for so many families who are just barely making it. It would make it so the state could double your taxes, no cap. She was the only one there. She posted a live video. She was the only one in the Capitol. And she was like, why isn't anybody here? And what's going on in California, it's really crazy, Peter, is that they are trying to make people so scared to go out of their house that they are no longer promiscuous. Whoa.
Some of us are still promiscuous.
Waiting. They're not participating in their own democracy. So really big bills like this, it's so fascinating to see. And she pointed out that, I mean, there's a lot of really weird stuff happening in California. Like state buildings are shut down. Like, that should never happen. Like, there's obviously no state of emergency. You just saw the pictures with Newsom and Magic Johnson, which, how rude is that? Magic Johnson is immunocompromised, Newsom, asshole. And it's anyway, getting back to Reinette. So she has a plan. That's one. Which, I'm so tired of politicians making promises. Like, Gavin Newsom has spent so much money. Homelessness, I think, is the best example. What was that budget? Was it 1.2 billion on homelessness, or was it 12.1 billion? Anyway, billions, over 1 billion. And they were going to build all these homeless, condos, right? And they've only built like 246 or something. So they have costed taxpayers over $700,000 per unit. That's what's going on in California. And at this point, the campaign is 100% grassroots. And I think that's actually a really beautiful thing, because at this point, the more money you have, the more guilty you are. Like, you can go through, a friend of mine from Florida sent me Anthony Weiner, Senator Weiner. I think, is it Anthony Weiner? Anyway, Senator Weiner, he's Pan and Weiner are the two that are trying to force vaccinations on children in California. And I went through all of his donors, and it's impossible. Like, you could never even blacklist or boycott and like his donor list, because it's literally freaking everyone. And that's what's going on. Like, these politicians, literally everyone. It's like Anheuser-Busch and the school boards and the unions and the this and Tesla. It's like everybody's giving these people money. So it's like, I think the more money you have at this point, the guiltier you are and the less you're going to do for people. And Reinette doesn't have that. She literally has like $5 and $10 donations from people all across the state, all across the country. There are people all across the country. I'm in her DMs and I see people, thank you so much, Reinette, sending you love from Maine. Maine is also really fucked if you've been following their politics. And so she has a plan, and she's always stood against corruption. She cannot be bought off, I think politicians, they'll say that we want to drain the swamp, whatever. And it ends up just being worse and fucked up. And there's no follow through with that. But she's just the real deal. She just, right. Yeah. I just like really love it.
To Biden's campaign, pharma contributed I think it was 8.5 million. It could be somewhere around 8 million. To Trump's campaign, it was somewhere around 2 million. So Trump got some money from pharma too, everybody. Let's be real. Let's be real.
When in 2020, when I started speaking out against the agenda, they were like, you're a racist, you love Trump. I'm like, I literally don't like Trump. And even though I supported like some of the things he said and some of the decisions he made, I was like, yeah. But once you look at who was donating to his campaign, dude, he rushed through 5G through our country. It's like, you guys not paying attention to all these towers out here messing up our electromagnetic, I don't even know if that's right, but you know what I mean? Like, all these towers, like that frequency, you don't think that affects our health? That's insane. And then he pushed through the jab too. And he still talks about what a great thing he did with the jab. It's like he's part of it. And it's really hard to say that. I think everybody's looking for a savior, and Trump is not it. I don't think he's, I don't think he's
right. And maybe as humans, we've always kind of needed a leader, but listen, I'm not saying that the solution is communism. Lord knows, because that's just another different, more violent leader. But I'm thinking maybe do you ever listen to Bill Hicks, the comedian?
Mm-mm.
Bill Hicks would talk about how our next evolution is not another opposable thumb. He believed he's a comedian from back in the 80s and 90s. He said our next evolution is mental, he believes. And essentially he's saying, like, maybe one of the things that we can level up on is letting go of the institutions that no longer serve us, and letting go of the institution of one singular leader forever and ever, amen. I mean, Lord knows, I think the system of democracy, what it should be anyway, it's not technically a democracy right now, but letting go of institution of, the easiest one would be creating term limits, which many in our government do have, but many in our government do not. And
I mean, can we all just agree that like Nancy Pelosi is too old for, and I don't want to be an ageist. But it's like,
I do.
we've stolen enough money from the stock market. Okay, can we let somebody else come in there and fuck us over for a little bit?
And
It's
Trump too. And Trump too. I know all my conservative friends, I pissed off a few people last week when I was like, I made a Trump meme and I said that same thing about like, hey, this guy can't speak for more than 5 minutes. He says, oh yeah, but it's your choice or whatever. But first he spends 5 minutes. It's a miracle vaccine. I took it. I got boosted. Everything's great. We saved millions of lives, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, it should be your choice or whatever. Yeah. But I think you should take it. Like, and I made fun of him.
dude, he's chilling for pharma.
Right. And
And
most people,
it's like,
right. But most people were actually pretty chill about that. There were a few people who were like, oh, he's playing the long game. No, he's not. He was our friend in 2016. As best, he was a tool. It's always been who can serve us the best, right? But and hopefully, as we move forward, we can get better and better tools. But as far as letting go of certain institutions, I don't know, man. I don't know. I maybe there's a way we can think outside the box, and maybe Reinette is one of those things when it comes to, the idea of, okay, remember who I can't remember the name of the guy. He was elected recently in New Jersey, and the entire amount he spent on his campaign was what, $159? Did you see that?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can't remember. Was he like a cowboy?
I don't know if he was a cowboy. He looked like a Linkin Park fan. I'll tell you that. He looked like he had a monster. He looked like he had a monster energy jacket somewhere in his closet.
Wow.
But ideas like that might be the way to move forward. And I feel like Californians most would be all right with that as long as the ideas were correct.
Well, yeah. I mean, I really like her platform and where she stands, which is the only reason that I'm like sucked back into California after leaving. I mean, I definitely moved away and I was like, see you later. And like, no interest. And I'm flying back to California again for like, I don't know, the 5th time since I moved away 9 months ago. Like I've been back and forth so much. And I'm so grateful for it because it feels like time really well spent. And also, I recognize it's an important domino. And also love California. And at this point, the way it's going, I'm not ever going to be allowed back in California. Like I'm never going to be able to go see the redwoods. And that's my favorite place in the world, where the redwoods meet the sea. It's like, it's my ultimate it is like where I would spend all of my time if I were able. So yeah, I mean, she has a lot of really great ideas and I think is sort of moderate. She has like very solid ideas on how to preserve the farms and the topsoil, which a lot of people aren't talking about, I think it's very easy for people to say, we have to do stuff for the children. Specifically, on the right, we have to, no mandates, our kids should have freedom, whatever. But like none of them are talking about the environment. And I'm not talking about the environment in like a bumper sticker climate change, like that kind of way. I'm talking about like actually what the fuck is going on with the environment, because the way the water is managed in California is criminal. The way the forests have been managed in California are criminal, is criminal. I mean, I want to pretend I know how to speak sentences, but and she has a plan for all of it. And she talks a lot about like the corruption within all of those systems. And the reality is that all signs point to intentional destruction from the inside, sadly. And she actually really loves the state and, can't be bought off. So I don't know. It sounds really crazy. It sounds like, like it could never happen, especially now that there's permanent mail-in ballots in California, which is so funny because when mail-in ballots came out, everybody was like, well, this is a fucking scam. Everyone's like, no, people are just scared. And it's like, okay, so now we have permanent mail-in ballots. So Newsom can go without a mask. It's like so scary. He can just no mask, but we have permanent mail-in ballots. Not a scam? Okay.
But what let that happen?
What
let that happen was fear. What let that happen was fear. And not just fear of COVID.
Omicron.
It's worse than Omicron. It's worse than fear of COVID. And it's the same thing that eroded Los Angeles. It's the same thing that eroded San Francisco. It's fear of not keeping up with the Joneses. It's fear of not fitting in. It's fear of suddenly a bunch of people calling you the racist that you just spent 5, 6, 7 years calling other people the racist. Once you start questioning Gavin Newsom, you're now a racist. Even if He's an evil white elite motherfucker. It's Satan.
That's so
If
interesting.
you're
I've
still a
never
racist.
thought about that. I've never thought about that, but you're right. The fear is a much greater issue. And I think, especially you have a place in LA, everybody, it's so driven by ego. Everybody really wants to feel important, like they're doing something, like they're a part of something. And so you can't get out of line because you're automatically ousted from the tribe. And it's
Right.
really, really scary. I have a friend in San Francisco who has a clothing line who told me today that she's like, I had to do something and you inspired me. And I'm so grateful that for all of your posts. And she like posted about this museum that is straight up not going to allow little kids in there unless they're vaccinated. A fucking museum. They pay so much in San Francisco to live in San Francisco. And we have museums segregating and saying that children are not allowed in because they do not have a vaccine. Like, this is where we're at. It's so crazy.
First things first, I'd like to connect with her. So please keep that. Let's put a pin in that because I'd love to have her on. Because I love anybody who's like, as much as I've railed against people not speaking up, once you speak up, the water is warm, baby. I love. Did you see? You follow Megan McGlover, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love her.
I can adore her.
Yeah.
I swear to God, we've done one show together and we talk every once in a while. She even sent me when I posted about my arm. She was like, I think a great acupuncturist, blah, blah, blah. She's great. But one of the things that she talked about, Michael Rappaport did some crazy, like, hey, someone stole all this stuff, right? And Megan went off on a delicious rant about that dude because he is insufferable. White liberal. And so she went off on a great rant, and at the end of it, she said, "And don't worry when you finally wake up, I'll let you eat. But I'm gonna, you can come to my house and you can eat. You know what I mean? I'll welcome you back. But we're gonna have a talk. We're gonna have a talk because you're starting to wake up. Why are all these people getting away with crime? I wonder, maybe is it the consequences of your fucking actions? Is it the consequences of your actions? No, it can't be. Sorry. I'm breathing. These are the fun rants you get on Conservatish, everybody. But okay, so where was I? So, and Megan, but what I really loved about that is that she said you can eat, because I want that to be a very understood. I'm not going to say I told you so. I mean, I will a little bit, but you're also going to be allowed to come eat with me. You're also like,
I will
yes,
for sure
welcome.
say you so.
What?
I will for sure say I told you so.
But I mean, not to the level of now it's time for me to shame you, like walk you through the streets like Game of Thrones. You shame. I'm saying come, and I want to help anybody who's ready to speak out, because my experience, and I'm sure yours was, even though you definitely hit some backlash, you definitely had a bunch of people going, as did I. But my network has grown, my life has grown, my spirit has grown, my comfortability has grown, my spirit life, my friendship, my network, my everything has grown because I've become more honest with myself. And the water is warm is the message that I'm trying to put forth to people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with you. And I feel the same way. I mean, I often, I'll talk to my husband about it, and we'll be like, what do you think's up with so-and-so? What do you think's going on with that? It's fascinating for me to the algorithm is so crazy now. I literally only see people that think like me. So I'll every once in a while tap in and I'm like, oh, they're not ready. Just try and get a vibe. Cause I do think, I believe most people are intelligent, and I believe most people don't want to be taken over and don't want the government to tell them what the fuck to do. I also think that we have something in the United States that's so special. We were, founded by rebels. And I think it is in our blood to say fuck you if you don't like something. And it's taking some people quite a long time to get to that spot. But I do think that, that we will get there. I hope that it's peaceful.
I will say that many leaders, it hasn't been very long since leaders have been taken to task. That's all I'm saying.
Totally.
And for us to think that there is the only people who benefit from them thinking that there is a disconnect, that once you get into high office, you are now That's why so many people hated Trump, or one of the many reasons is because he wasn't polished. And he did say, yeah, I hate Rosie O'Donnell. And like he did talk some shit. He wasn't. And so because of that idea, the people want to think that our leaders are above us somehow, that they're not human. And the only people that benefit from that are the fucking leaders, because people look at Superman. I could never scale a tall building. Yes, the fuck you can, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, you can. Do you understand the analogy I'm getting at?
I'm going to go on record and say Superman's probably more capable of doing a lot.
You know what I'm goddamn saying? I'm saying the only reason why people put government on pedestals or whatever is because, oh, I could never do that. You know what I mean? And the people who benefit from that are Clark Kent, who's dressed up like Superman. You know what I'm saying? Like, are people who are regular but want a detached superior, because that allows them the authority to do whatever they want, you know, and treat us like shit. And it has not been that long since people who did that have been taken to task, and it can happen again. I'm not saying it needs to, like you said, let's all be peaceful or whatever. But you know, if it takes a bunch of truckers honking outside, I mean, that's what took that. You know what I mean? I think part of the reason why Boris changed the laws, the mandates, whatever. It's not laws over in England is because he got caught doing that same thing, like not wearing masks indoors and things like that. It's just the English people are more connected because it's a smaller community, it's a smaller country, everything's much more localized. So when controversies like that come up, they're like, we're not doing that. And they were like, we're suddenly, I take away all the, I can't do an English accent. We're taking away all the, mandates. So it's not that difficult to make these people bend.
You know what I would like to take to task? All the 5G towers all over the country. I feel like that would be the most patriotic thing that we could do. Get rid of those little wiretappers and it won't happen though. People are we're just so complacent. It's so crazy to even read like a very small, snippet of our history in this country and what people have done and what people have sacrificed, and to watch grown men give away their freedom over something like a virus is just so mind-blowing to me. Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping the men show up and grow a pair. I don't mean to say it like that, but
yeah, it's all right. It's all right. You're allowed to, it's women don't have a pair. You don't. You have your own different type of thing, and we love you very much. But as far as the how do I get the rabbit? Where did we get? I was going to say something else, and it's gone now forever. I don't know what I was going to say.
I don't know what we're talking about either. Have you been going to any rallies? Like, have you been doing any like activism stuff in New York? I guess you've been out of commission because
I've been out of commission because of this. Oh, I got the thing off, as you can see, everybody.
Is that your left hand or your right hand?
Left.
That's good.
Are you gonna make a masturbation joke? How dare you? Dare you?
No, no, I was not. I was just.
And you would never do anything like that.
You're probably right-handed.
Yes, I am right-handed.
Yeah.
But when you play guitar, you do it with your left.
Thinking about your penis.
I'm not saying you were thinking about my penis. I said masturbation joke.
Do you not?
Listen. Don't be dirty, okay? You're on the wrong show for that, okay? I'm a very demure person. All right, I would never say anything like that. So, yeah, I've been out of commission. But I have gone to some recently, and and it has been great. I went to one. I think the big one I went to was November 5th. I want to say somewhere around there.
Is that when they crossed the bridge?
I'm sorry.
Did you go to the one where they crossed the bridge?
They've crossed the bridge like 3 or 4 times.
Oh, it's just a thing.
They kick ass. They kick ass. Shout out to New York Freedom Rally 2, and all the guys over there. We Are People News, We Outside, Pole to Pole Fitness, Rocco's Pastry, all kinds of metal people. And the thing that I've seen over there is that it is easier to make, to that point, it is easier to make these people bend than we think. I think it is easier. The people in power anyway. It's easier. We just have to honk some horns or whatever. It makes, but I want to just put that positivity out there because I really believe it's like when I go out in here's my experience today, Jamie Arrigo. I went to 7 businesses because, I've been inside, whatever. I needed to go get some stuff. And, my arm is not in as much pain. So I was like, okay, let me go shopping. I went into 7, let me go shopping. Went into 7 businesses. 6 of those had mask required to enter on the door. And I know that. One of them was mask suggested. And I never go in there. I never go anywhere that's a business with a mask. I haven't worn a mask. In 3 months, I've taken a ton of like maybe 35 Ubers. I've worn a mask only once because I was in a rush. Every other time, no one's even asked. Okay. So again, it's easier there. Okay. That's number one. It's easier in all of these businesses because my experience today, January or February 3rd or whatever it is, only 1 out of the 7 places asked me to wear a mask. And I fucking left it. And yet all of them have a sign on the front that says mask required to enter. Mm-hmm. By the way,
sounds like progress.
It sounds like progress. And I think it's progress partially because I went in there not remember, I think I talked about this on a past episode. Before I got sober, I used to steal. And one of the things that would get you caught stealing is if you acted like you were stealing. But if you bought something and you looked the guy straight in the eye, hey, how you doing today? Blah, blah, blah. You would be fine. You could steal and it wouldn't be a problem.
So what was your stealing process? Answer that. Yeah. Like what kind of stuff did you, because I used to steal, we called it racking. We used to go racking. We would like take whiskers. We would like snap off sensors.
I would snap off little, those things on Barnes and Noble on CDs. I would take those off. Yeah.
So you'd steal CDs.
Oh yeah. CDs, candy, toys. I mean, I got sober when I was 15. So I didn't have a bunch of stuff, but yeah, absolutely. I still owe money to, Barnes and Noble and Warehouse. Warehouse is dead. But, so like in that process, like being not thinking guilty, like when I went into those businesses today, I didn't think guilty. I was just like, hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And I made a little chit chat with the ladies and blah, blah, blah. And everything was, and I'm charming and whatever. And so I was able to, kind of ease my way through there. And no one said a fucking thing except for in Blue Bottle Coffee. In Blue Bottle Coffee, the only place where I encountered someone white behind the counter, I'm just saying, every other place, Black people or Latin people or Asian people. But they said, sir, do you have a mask? I said, no. And he said, and he's, they do the weird thing now where they grab a bag, they grab a box of, fucking masks. I don't know where the fuck that's been. You want me to cover my face as if my face is more dirty than this nasty shit you just pulled up from behind the register? Fuck you. And he hands it and he wants to, I'm like, no. And I just left and gave my money to Starbucks. But I'm telling you, everybody, I went to Wells Fargo, CVS, Starbucks, Amsterdam Vape, Bloomingdale's Outlet, and Jubilee Marketplace. None of them were like, sir, can you have none of them said a damn thing. It's easier if we just stop complying. It's fine.
Yes. That is what we're hoping for. Mass non-compliance.
Yeah.
Because the longer people comply, the longer this bullshit goes on.
Right.
It's a real shame too, because so many people at this point have gotten the jab, and it's a shame seeing what's going on. But hopefully they all got saline. Hopefully the people I know and love got the saline solution, and they're going to be okay. It's a real bum deal to see what's going on and to see like all those athletes dropping dead. It's like,
I saw a figure today. It was 300% more. It rose this year. Footballers suffering from heart situations with 300% higher than last year.
Yeah, it's all bad. It's like I can't even tune into the COVID narrative anymore because I'm so past it. Like I'm just like, okay, so I went in so deep in 2020 and spent so much time like looking at all of these different science experiments, like just like went really deep, like really went crazy. Like that meme where you see the person with like the strings all over, you know what I mean? That was me. I was like, And at this point, it's like, dude, it's been 2 years. Like, I don't trust the government. I don't trust pharma. I'm never going to trust the government. I'm never going to trust pharma. I don't think all doctors are inherently bad, but mostly they're following directions because that's what people do is they get programmed to like, but, and I just like can't even think about it. And it's sad. And I like really, really hope most people are okay. But the reality is we don't know because we don't know what the long-term damage is going to be.
Right. We'll go a little bit more if that's all right with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as far as Reinette and the way forward, what analog things are you thinking of as far as taking it offline?
So we are trying to establish like an entire team of like in-person people. I don't really want to say a bunch of like
No. Yeah. Don't give away any. Yeah.
But yeah, just trying to be more face to face, less on the internet, more face to face, and trying to like create, old school stumping, because she's going to continue to be shadow banned. And it's interesting. Gavin Newsom just came out with a blueprint for California, and Reinette is like, I have a beautiful blueprint for California. She's been saying it for 4 months, and all of a sudden he's got this blueprint for California, which is just like this like lengthy document that took him 3.5 hours on YouTube to go through, because he had to like talk. It's like very complicated and like, and all of a sudden his messaging is like shifted to be like about families and mothers. It's like very fascinating to see because the people that put together her campaign are brilliant. They're very, very smart people and really good strategists. And so it's fascinating to watch all of these people around kind of like shift what they're doing. And we don't have, like on social media, she just got wiped. So like, it's, not as robust. However, I don't think that that's necessarily a reflection of what's going to happen in the primaries, but we'll see.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of the people over here have done the analog thing of, not that I ever have, police officers, but making stickers. Making stickers have been a blast, and I've loved seeing it. Yeah,
yeah. Stickers, bumper stickers, car magnets, like handing, like doing stuff that's in person. Yeah, it's been a really fun project. It's been an honor. I went with her to DC last week for the Defeat the Mandates rally, and it was so cool. Just being in, surrounded by all of those heroes. It's like so funny. I lived in LA for a long time and I would often be around celebrities. Like celebrities are just everywhere. They're just people and they're like, they're everywhere. And I like wouldn't really get starstruck because I don't know. I'm not like impressed with it's impressive. It's really wonderful and great. But I'm like, what is that contribution? And I don't know. For me, it wasn't. I didn't really get starstruck is the summary. But being around all of these like freedom fighters and these doctors and these like, these like all of these people that are creating such big movements, I was like nervous. Just like, oh my gosh, if you would have told me that, I'd be like, hi, Dr. So-and-so, just like really feeling like just so nervous and inspired by all of the beautiful work that these physicians and activists are doing. Everything they're creating was just really humbling. And being there with Reinette was really incredible. So just full of gratitude. It was amazing.
Right. Seemed like a giant event too.
It was really, really cool. I met some amazing people. I just like tons.
Who was your favorite that you met?
Probably this firefighter named Sophie. She is just a dream. She's like really beautiful and her husband's a firefighter too. And they have like the most gorgeous kids and she's just like a badass. She's just like a woman firefighter. And she was probably my favorite, but she was like one of my favorite people that I met, I think, and I met like a lot of the doctors and stuff, but I feel like, some of the firefighters and like the other people that were there for the rally, like there were also a lot of like vaccine injured people there that I got to connect with. There were a lot of people from Children's Health Defense that I got to connect with. Like what an incredible organization, full of just like the most amazing, smart, sweet, funny people. There were just a lot of really great people. Just being in the room with all of them was just like, wow, it was like, I felt like I was like at the Oscars.
Right.
Funny. It's like, oh my gosh, that's like, Dr. Malone, Dr. Malone, like just so nerdy.
Right.
Oh man. But it was really beautiful. I hope they continue on, and I hope you know, there are more events like that. So it was a good time.
Right. And I'll throw in a quick, I actually Defeat the Mandates DC started following me yesterday.
Oh no way.
That's scary. Yeah. I hope they know what they're getting into. But one of the things that I've liked about seeing a lot of that is the work, like you said, the work, the fact that people are willing to sacrifice. I mean, there was buses going down from New York,
Oh,
like these people. I'm sorry, elites, but the people, the masses, are not stupid. We're not lazy. If I'm willing to invest 3 hours of my life into listening to a conversation between Joe Rogan and Peter McCullough or Dr. Malone or whatever, don't you think that I'm also smart enough, or you know, I'm not too lazy to then Google stuff afterwards, Papa? Like I can, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't
Google.
listen to Joe Rogan and just like, oh gee golly, I'm just being led into the, you know, we've heard the narrative, the other side. I like that Joe was like, well, maybe I should have more people who are in line with the narrative. Papa, listen, we've heard the narrative.
I
We've
know.
heard it.
No, that apology was strange to me. I was like, how can we possibly showcase the other side more? Like that's all that's on the news. You're literally only. Did you know Reinette interviewed Peter McCullough way before Joe Rogan? She interviewed him in 2020.
That's true. I saw that.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. She's the OG. She's the real deal.
Right. Mama. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So moving forward, what's the next things? Is there anything that you would like to promote? Maybe ways to find her or to help her, or maybe events you have coming up?
Yeah. So definitely follow Reinette. She's at Reinette Senum 2.0, ReinetteSenum 2.0. On Twitter, she's at Reinette Senum. Her website is electronet.com. And I would recommend everybody read the contract with Californians and then compare what Gavin Newsom has created. But yeah, we have a bunch of private events coming up in California. You can look at her website on the news and events tab. But we have like a big fundraiser coming up and a bunch of like private meet and greets that are coming up. So those are exciting. And then as for me, I'm working with her and then shooting photos. I have a bunch of shoots coming up. So I'm sort of traveling all over the place doing that too. So it's starting out to be a really great year.
Awesome. And you've met, I mean, I'm sure you've met not just people you can do photography for, but also, you know, other Earth mamas in Florida as well, right?
Yeah, you know, one of the main reasons we moved to Florida is because we had this like sort of built-in community. And so we have families here that we really love, and we see them a lot. But yeah, I mean, the people in Florida are really cool. And what I mostly like about Florida is that it doesn't matter if everybody sees things the same way. I think the understanding that you kind of just like let people live and let live, like, oh, you're into that thing? Okay. And people are not up each other's asses like they are in California. Everybody in California, I think, felt like you had to do what they wanted you to do. Otherwise, you were a racist.
Right.
And it always comes down to being racist. I'm like, oh, no, thank you. I don't need a shopping cart. Okay, you damn racist. Like,
right.
can I get in that lane? Sure. Nice blinker, racist. It's like,
right.
literally made no difference. But yeah, so that's all I have going on is just trying to, you know, help Californians see that they should not vote for either of the two parties, but they should vote for somebody who's not going to be beholden to corporate interest, which is unfortunately, even if you have somebody who's like, I'm for the people, whatever, if they get that corporate money, that's their boss, you know?
Right.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So wherever people go, and also go to Jamie_Arrigo on Instagram as well.
On Instagram. Yeah. And I think Twitter, I'm at Jamie_Arrigo as well. I think so. Yeah.
I've seen you tweet like once in the last.
Oh, I'm not very good at it. I have typos. I tag the wrong people. Hashtag. I'm like, oh, damn it.
Right.
I have to get better at it, though. That's on my list. I have a friend I just met who's really good at Twitter, so I'm going to hit her up and be like, please help.
Awesome. And you're a social media, what? What do you're a
But I focus on visuals, so mostly Instagram, and help with like bigger picture.
Right.
Yeah, but if I'm being honest,
Instagram's more fun anyway.
yeah, but Twitter is important, and we should be putting more emphasis on Twitter because you also get like a totally different demographic. So thank you for calling me out. And I'm very humbled. I can totally accept the fact that, I'm learning.
Yeah. And I'm gonna make sure to buy some oh, that joke died. What was I gonna say? What's that stuff that helps you? Propecia? There we go. It's sometimes jokes don't work. It's late at night, everybody.
It's 10:30.
Oh, yeah, as if I'm gonna be going to bed before 3 a.m. All right. Wherever you're listening, everybody, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share this. Again, housekeeping stuff, I will be moving over to, I believe, Rockfin for video. Although I do need to know, how do I get video onto Spotify like Rogan does? I don't know. But I'll still be on Stitcher. I'll still be on Spotify. I'll still be on iTunes. I'll still be everywhere, and only clips on YouTube. Find me on Instagram at Peter_Feliciano. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on Facebook, kinda. You can find me on Twitter at Rule62Peter. I'm all over the place. I love you all very much. And I'll go ahead and stop the recording.